Hi everyone, Stephanie with Mama Bear Ink. Welcome back to another Use Your Stamps Wednesday. And today we are making a super simple card. I mean, it doesn't get much more simple than this. And I am using 3 stamp sets from Stampin' Up! That when they came out last fall, I just had to have them. I used them maybe once or twice, and on the shelf they went, and that was that. So we are going to be using 4 feathers, which was one I absolutely fell in love with when it first came out. We are going to be using Everything Eleanor, and this one I coveted forever and ever and ever and finally got it. This is just one of 2 boxes that go with this set because we're going to be using this big scroll here. And lastly, for our sentiment, actually I think this one came out this spring, but for our sentiment we're going to be using Painted Petals and the You Are Amazingly Amazing piece. Okay, so let's get started. First thing that we're going to do is to cut and fold our card base. Now I'm using Blackberry Bliss ink by Stampin' Up. This is a card I saw on Pinterest and I just loved it, so I wanted to make it. We're using Blackberry Bliss ink, but I don't have Blackberry Bliss cardstock, so I'm actually using like Royal Velvet cardstock from Paper Tray Ink. So hopefully it'll be a good match. But I cut this at 4 1/4 by 11 and then scored it at 5 1/2, so we have a top folding card. And the only other piece we're going to need is a piece of white cardstock cut at 5 1/4 by 4 inches. And we're going to do all our stamping on this piece, and it's basically like one layer. It's pretty, I mean, really simple. So let's go ahead and get started. First, we are going to be using Hello Honey ink from Stampin' Up! And we are going to be using this to ink up our big scroll stamp. And this is a huge scroll stamp from the Everything Eleanor. And when they're this big, I like to take my ink pad to the stamp. And that way I don't get ink all over the place, for one. And for 2, I can make sure that the entire stamp is inked up. And get that closed up, because we know I'll find some way to put a body part in it. Alright, and I'm just going to kind of put it down just like so. I'm going to give it just a second to go into the paper and pull it up. So you may have noticed with Stampin' Up! Inks, they work a whole lot better with Stampin' Up's cardstock. And I am all out of Whisper White right now, so I'm using some other white cardstock, but you'll see that it does get blotchy, and you can re-stamp it. All you would need to do is get like a Stamp-A-Majig, and as you stamp this down, put your Stamp-A-Majig in place, re-ink, and then re-stamp. And so I didn't do that this time, so we're not going to obviously be able to do that. But in any case, there is our Hello Honey stamp. Now we're going to be using 2 stamps from the 4 feathers, and it's the 2 large ones. And these we are going to stamp in the Blackberry Bliss. And it ought to be interesting because, you know, I have difficulties with getting things straight and centered and all that good stuff. So what we're going to do is stamp 3 feathers right across the front here. And we'll see if I can do it. Alright, so the first feather that I'm going to use is the solid image feather. Let's just make sure we got plenty of ink on there. And this one we want to get pretty centered on the front of the card and straight up and down as I can get it. Is my head in the way? Okay, good. My head's not in the way. Alright, and voila. Not bad. Alright. And then the second feather is the dotty one. And that one is going to go straight up and down once we get it good and inked. And we want one on this side, just like so, and one on this side, just like that. All right. So, hey, didn't do too awful bad getting those on there. We're going to actually leave that Blackberry Bliss ink out because the next thing that we are going to do is stamp our sentiment. And that's the one from the Painted Petals set. You are amazingly amazing. I love that sentiment. I do. All right, and we're going to take this right across the top here. Get it centered up and straight down. This one's a photopolymer stamp, so it's a little bit easier to see where I'm putting it. There we go. We've got that one done. Close up the ink so I don't turn purple. All right. Now, since this is just one layer and very, very simple, I'm going to pop it up a little bit on our card base. And the way I like to do this when it's a full panel like this is using some fun foam. And this stuff is really cheap at your local craft store. You can get a huge sheet of it, I think for like less than $1. So when I get it, I just go ahead and cut it down to fit the backs of these panels. A little bit smaller than 4 by 5 1/4. And then all we need to do is flip our panel over and put some adhesive on the back, just like we were going to stick it down like normal. And I'm just going to, whoa, that went all over the place. All right, put some there down the middle. Now I'm going to take my fun foam and get it kind of centered up here. All right, so there we go. It's on the back of our panel there to pop it up. And oh my goodness, look, I smudged that everywhere. Oh well, we're going to go with it. Okay, and so then we are going to put adhesive on the back of this. Now, some people prefer to use like Fast Fuse or Tombow Extreme adhesive, and some people even prefer liquid adhesive, but I haven't had any difficulties with my regular old tape runner using it with the fun foam, so that's what I continue to use. And we're just going to center that on the front, and we're going to pretend that it's not smudged all over the place. But that is our card for today. So I told you it was incredibly simple. This would be one that you could make like 50 times over in 10 minutes. Well, not quite 10 minutes. Okay. A few more minutes than that, probably. But in all sorts of different color combinations, it'd be fun. You just want to make sure that your color for your scroll stamp is lighter than your feather stamps, obviously. But it's kind of a cute card, real simple, easy to make. And I used 3 stamp sets that I don't or haven't used very often, but I like this design, so I might make some more. We'll pull out some different colors. Anyhow, that's the card for today. Thanks so much for coming and hanging out with me. I appreciate your watching, and I will see you guys again soon. Take care.